Hi guys, happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. I just want to let you know right now, I am not in the best place. Debated today on whether or not to come on, and I think it's important to show in a healing journey that there are ups and downs, and it's pretty down right now. It's pretty down. And so just want to let you know that, but I still want to come here. I'm in Phil's room, who is one of our teachers, and I really want to introduce him to you. And so just I didn't want to miss this today. And so I'm going to introduce Phil in a second. We're so happy to have him. He came to us, I guess this summer. He is actually someone who retired from Wake County Schools. He's a choir director and just like honestly, one of the sweetest teachers we have at the school. He's just yeah, he's just great. He's just added to the morale of and I feel like right away I felt like close to him. This is someone who is very, very just nice, just a nice person. But I'm going to bring him the computer. So right here. Can you see? Okay. Yeah, if you want to get closer, I don't know if you.
Oh, I'm good.
So, Phil, before we get started, do you want to tell a little bit about your backgrounds, like when education, and then, anything that inspired you about becoming a musician, music teacher?
Well, I started taking piano when I was very young. I was about 6 years old, and my dad was going to seminary to be a pastor, and so I had been asking about taking piano lessons, and there was a piano teacher that lived right across the street from us, and so they were like, "Well, this is a good time for him to start," and so I started taking lessons from the piano teacher across the street, Mrs. Davis. The other day I remembered her name. I was like, "What is her name?" It's Miss Davis, and so anyway, I started taking piano. More or less, I think because my dad needed somebody to play the piano at his church at some point. He knew that my mom didn't play and that he would need me at some point.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so his ulterior motive there, I think. But anyway, I began to play and kind of fell in love with that. And every time we moved to a new place, the very first thing my mom would do would be look up and try to find a new piano teacher. And sometimes that was not even easy because, like, the first church my dad had was like in a little town called Pennington, Texas, and there was nothing in the town. There was like our church and our house, and then like a little gas station grocery store place, and the mail came to this lady's living room across the street. Her name was Thelma. It really was. It was Thelma. And so, but that's where we would get our mail, is this lady's living room. So it was like really small. So finding a piano teacher in a place like that is not always easy, right? And so sometimes we would drive for quite a while to go to piano lessons every week. So it was a real commitment that my parents made. One, they didn't make a lot of money. And yes, they cost, lessons always cost a little bit of money. And so then they just didn't have a lot. So they made sure that they sacrificed for me to do that. And that was something that I always kind of tried to keep in the back of my mind, even though I went through my pre-adolescent and adolescent rebellious years of not wanting to practice and things like that. Um, and I'd rather be out playing ball or doing something with my friends. And I knew that I had to practice because my parents were making this investment in me. And it wound up being a really good investment, more so for me than it was for them, even. um, because when I went to high school, I started studying voice with my um, choral director's wife, Miss Layton, and studied with her and wound up getting all these scholarships in voice to go to school and these awards and all this stuff. And I never even knew that's really what I had that capability or that ability. And so piano kind of got put on the back burner at that point. And my mother, she was kind of like, "Are you sure that you want to be a singer? You've worked all these years playing the piano you know, and I'm like, well, this is what's going to pay for school. So if this is what's going to pay for school, that's what I'm going to be, right? And so that's kind of where I headed, and um, then fell in love with singing and the voice, and wound up finishing my bachelor's at Mars Hill College, which is about 15 miles north of Asheville. Then I went away to grad school and did my graduate studies at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, which is just above Dallas. and did that in choral directing. And so I got my master's in performance in choral directing and wound up doing that. So just the whole process of finding myself being a musician, not necessarily just a pianist or a vocalist or a choral director, or an organist that I play the organ too. And so just a little bit of everything is what has made me successful as a musician, because I didn't have to just do one thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I was able to make a living doing lots of different things, but I was still able to be a musician.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have something in common. You said that you're Thelma. That was your mom's?
No, that was the post office lady's name.
Oh, right. We have a cat named Thelma.
Okay.
Thelma and Louise. So
Okay.
actually, I think that Thelma was featured in one of our YouTube things. So that was funny.
Okay.
But yeah, it sounds like you did a lot. Let me ask you this before I ask you the prepared question. Did you ever find that doing so many different instruments, so many different mediums was tough for you to focus? Like, did it feel like a lot at the time, or did it feel like it flowed easily into each instrument?
Each one brought something to the table.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I studied piano for a lot of years,
Mhm.
right? And even when I started singing,
Mhm.
I was still playing,
Mhm.
right? And then it just kind of helped me when I was in school. All those piano proficiency tests that you have to take, no matter what instrument you play.
Yes.
My theory, I got out of the first semester of taking theory, because I had that background. I was able to learn my own music without having somebody come in, pay someone to play it for me. All that, in practice, I could just play through it a little bit myself before I got with an accompanist. So I was prepared when I did have to pay for an accompanist, I was prepared for that, and they didn't have to bang out notes for me. So that was good. And then it was just kind of a natural progression that I became a conductor after that. And again, keyboard played a huge part in me doing that,
Right.
because you have conducting piano proficiencies that are different than just playing scales and chords in a simple, two-part invention. It's playing, mine was like playing the Beethoven's Fifth Symphony open score with like all of these orchestral.
Oh, yeah.
And so you had to look all the way down the
That's
page.
multitasking at its finest, isn't
Yes,
it?
and transposing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to do all of that.
Mhm.
And so, everything that I've done is kind of built on the thing before.
Yeah.
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 So
Interesting. Well, that's pretty cool. I feel like your experience maybe isn't typical, but maybe I'm wrong just because of all the different things that you're doing together. That just shows that this was exactly right, that you were right where you needed to be and be able to do all those things. Let me ask you, you had mentioned to me before, a few weeks ago that you did Farmhouse,
yeah.
So and you can tell the viewers about Farmhouse a little bit, but my aunt actually did Farmhouse for years as
Yeah.
well. And so can you tell about your experience and like I guess you stay there, right? You like live on campus and everything. So.
Yeah, okay. So the farmhouse is this, it's just kind of hard to describe. It's like this inn and restaurant that was on top of a mountain in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. And it had been there for years and years and years. I think they started it maybe in the 20s or the 30s. And it was really neat because like the rooms had no phone. It had like footed bathtubs. It had quilts on the bed, no AC, no heat. It was just that kind of natural kind of stepping back in time place. And you went there as a singer and you got paired up with someone and you had a waiting partner. And then when you went to sing in the parlor, there's like a little parlor next door. When it was your turn to go sing, they would take over and do all the stuff at the table while you were singing. And then when it was their turn to sing, then you made sure everything was okay at the tables. And so you waited tables, and sometimes we'd sing in the dining room too.
Would you do full shows or is it just like songs from shows or?
We would do sets. We'd do like parlor sets for like 45 minutes. And then at the end of the night, when everybody was finished eating, and everybody else was cleaning up,
Mhm.
then there was a show in the parlor, and it was usually like an abridged version of Baba Birdie.
Wow.
I did Company,
Okay.
Stephen Sonic Company, that did that show, and then I did a musical review that summer too. So yeah, you kind of they did casting at the beginning and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a really neat experience. Matter of fact, I just reconnected with my wait partner, Kathy, the last time I was on vacation. Met her at a little German restaurant up in Virginia, and we talked about old times and stuff. So it's those connections that you make in the music world that last your lifetime.
Last your life?
Yeah.
And did you do it more than one summer?
I did it one summer and then filled in the next summer. Yeah, but it was the summer before I went to Converse to do my voice training.
Well, I wonder if you guys were around the same time, but I'll have to ask her at some point. So all right, this is kind of my last question because I know you have a lesson soon, so we gotta stop. This is as a teacher, what lights you up the most about the teaching aspects? Because you've been here with us for a little while. What do you love most about it?
Well, being a retired school teacher, I've kind of gone through this over and over and over again, and reflecting on what kept me coming back every day, right? Because it's not the pay and it's not the gratitude. It's not.
We all know that.
Yeah. So what made me keep coming back every day? And it was those light bulb moments that students have, that they're like, oh, I get this. I just had one yesterday with a piano student, and they were like, asked them to play it backwards, basically. Play the last
song
page
backwards?
Yeah, play the last page first.
Okay.
Practice it, and then practice the last 2 pages, and then practice the last 3 pages. And so and he was like, he's in 5th grade, and he goes, I can see how this is really useful. And I was like, well, why do you think it's useful? He goes, because, by the time you get to the end, you're like bored and you're not paying attention. Instead of practicing the last verse. So he got it. And I was like, yeah, good job. Yeah. So those kind of things, I've had singers that have those same kind of things, or watching them mature into someone who couldn't match pitch or had trouble with speech. Had a speech therapist sent him to my class, becoming a voice major.
Yeah.
Those things, you look back on those moments and you're like, well, I just feel like I made a difference.
Yes.
Yes. So
that I'm right there with you. And I like your 5th grade student, or it sounds hilarious. They're like, well, you get bored at the end and stuff. And so at least he's being honest with you.
Yes, by the time you get to the end, you're bored, so you don't practice that as much. And I was like,
well, that's great. I mean, it's connection, right? Because that's really why we're here.
And building relationships.
And building relationships, right? Because that's what people are going to remember, not as much the specific technique things, although we want them to know those things, but like having that connection with you, they'll never forget. They'll never forget this experience. And so, Phil, thank you so much. I know it was a short interview today, but I was excited for them to watch you and to get to know you a little bit more. I'd love to bring you back at some point and go maybe a little bit deeper into. I'm really interested in the farmhouse stuff. I don't know why, but it feels like such a significant. I don't even know if it's around anymore, but
it's not. It's not around anymore. But it was wonderful because it's a great place for you to kind of hone your skills as a singer, as a performer, and not be under all that pressure, like you are in a show. And so it's like to learn songs that you can eventually audition with and be comfortable singing in front of people. And because, that's what we do, right? We have to learn how to perform in front of people if we're going to be performers. We can practice and love singing all day. But when we share that, it becomes so much more meaningful to us. Of
course. Right? And you can add the stuff that you've done on your resume, whereas maybe you might not have had that. And so any chance people can have a chance to go and foster an environment and go and add something to their resume and get experience, why would you not do that?
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. He is already just interviewing him a second. It just boosts my mood a lot. And so hopefully it does the same for you. All right. I will see you guys soon. Bye.